In America today, slightly more than one-third of the adults are obese. Obesity comes with many dangerous illnesses that can threaten a person's life. Tom Hanks is a famous actor who suffers from type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is one of the deadly diseases that comes with obesity. Dr. Hall will explain how diabetes can happen from living an unhealthy lifestyle.
Well, type 2 diabetes, just to start with, is different than type 1. Type 1 is where you don't really produce insulin, which is the main hormone that regulates glucose, whereas type 2, you produce insulin, but the body is resistant to the effect of insulin. And type 2 diabetes, the main risk factor for that is obesity. Uh, by and large, about 90 to 95% of all diabetics are overweight or obese, and type 2 diabetes is really the most prevalent form. About 90 to 95% of all diabetes is type 2. However, you don't have to be overtly obese. In other words, it's mainly the distribution of fat in the abdomen or visceral area that is the main risk factor for obesity or for type 2 diabetes. Tom Hanks, as I understand it, has actually improved his diabetes with weight loss. And now he's pretty slim, and I think his diabetes control has been improved. And that's typical of most people with type 2 diabetes. When they exercise and lose weight, their control of their diabetes improves. It's also known that physical inactivity by itself can cause this syndrome of insulin resistance and predispose you toward type 2 diabetes. So physical inactivity, visceral fat accumulation are the two main causes of type 2 diabetes. There are also some genetic susceptibility to it. So some individuals are more susceptible. We don't know all the reasons for that. Well, I think that's a good point, that this is going to raise the, I think, the level of interest in type 2 diabetes. And people begin, as they get older, begin to lose muscle mass, begin to develop visceral fat accumulation. Most of us, as we get older, start losing the muscle and accumulating fat in the visceral area. The large amount of muscle mass is what allows you to dispose of glucose after eating a meal or eating a glucose-heavy meal. And when you lose muscle mass, that in itself can make you pre-diabetic. So what we need to really think about is, getting screened for diabetes, getting screened for glucose intolerance. There's a test, simple test, where they'll give you a glucose load, 75 grams of glucose orally, and then they measure your insulin levels and your glucose levels and determine how well you can dispose of that glucose. Well, I think it's great that Tom Hanks has really stepped forward. And David Letterman, on the David Letterman show, as I understood it, also pointed out that he had trouble with glucose control. I think that this sort of indicates to people that you don't really have to be really obese in order to have a risk for diabetes. Diabetes now affects something like 26 million people in the country, and most of them are type 2 diabetic. We used to call that adult onset diabetes, but now we're seeing this in children. So I think the fact that folks like David Letterman, Tom Hanks, who come out and talk about their difficulty in controlling their glucose is really going to make people more aware that anyone who's physically inactive, older individuals and many other individuals are going to be facing the possibility of pre-diabetes and then later development of diabetes. And I think improving our activity, reducing our visceral fat is certainly the most reliable way to prevent type 2 diabetes.
In addition to the many life-threatening diseases obesity comes with, it also makes it very difficult to perform everyday tasks. The difficulty comes from loss of motion. The extra weight wears on the joints and muscles, making it very difficult to bend over, and at its most severe, it hinders one's ability to walk. Obesity is a very deadly disease, but for such a harmful disease, it can easily be reversed. Obesity and many of the illnesses associated with it can be reversed through healthy eating and exercising. This may seem easy, but for someone who has lived an unhealthy lifestyle for so long, the challenge of eating healthy and starting to exercise may be overwhelming. Obese people have spent large portions of their life eating poorly and getting little to no exercise. One must be serious about making a healthy change in their life. No matter how difficult it is to eat healthy and exercise, they must stick to it in order to lose weight and reverse the deadly diseases. In order to lose weight, one must make major lifestyle changes, starting with exercise. One must exercise daily. He or she must complete difficult exercises every day. As he or she gets stronger, the difficulty of the workout will increase. These workouts must include cardio to keep the body constantly moving. It is important that stretching takes place before and after all workouts. The stretching must include every muscle group. Stretching before a workout will prevent the tearing of muscles and injuries. Stretching after a workout will help a person gain flexibility in the full motion of their body. Another key component to becoming healthy is maintaining a balanced and healthy diet. This diet needs to contain vitamins, protein, and fiber. It is important that a person limits his or her carbohydrate intake. Carbs are needed to have energy throughout the day, but too many can result in added fat and a need for insulin. People who have or are at risk for type 2 diabetes, it is extra important that they limit their carb intake to become independent of insulin and free from diabetes. It is also necessary to limit one's cholesterol intake to lower the risk of heart disease. An extremely healthy diet and intense exercise is needed to reverse the diseases associated with obesity and to lose weight. This daily lifestyle would have to continue for as long as necessary to reach your healthy weight that is Once a person reaches his or her healthy weight, it is important they still live a healthy lifestyle. It must be maintained through healthy eating and exercising regularly. One cannot go back to eating poorly and never exercising, because the person will gain weight and develop the same medical problems associated with obesity. In order to prevent a recurring cycle of gaining and losing weight, one must maintain a healthy lifestyle throughout their whole lifetime. Obesity can be resolved, and one can learn to live a healthy lifestyle. Eliminating obesity will result in a healthy and happy life.